Hello and welcome. You're watching the Wednesday edition of This Is Exclusive with me, Shavan Sen. On 10th of August, two Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists were neutralized by the Indian Army. Para forces were brought in. Tonight on This Is Exclusive, we take you inside a tunnel, a Hamas-like tunnel that was created by the Hizbul terrorists. For the first time ever, never seen footage of that very tunnel, which took hours for the Indian Army to actually cover. We get right inside to tell you how Pakistani terrorists were inside this tunnel for days put together and went on firing on the Indian Army. The untold story tonight on This Is Exclusive. Never seen before drone footage of Hamas-inspired Hizbul tunnel on Republic. More details on Kishtwar operation out. No lessons learnt from Operation Sindoor. Pakistan provokes again by infiltration attempt in Baramullah's Uri sector. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar to meet Russian counterpart next week amid tariff war. Crucial India-China bilateral ahead of the SCO visit of the Prime Minister. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi likely to visit India on 18th of August. Excavation operation concludes at site number 30. No body found. BJP alleges plot to defame Dharmasthala. Ladies and gentlemen, what we will show you this evening points at how terror networks operating across Jammu and Kashmir have adopted a Hamas-inspired approach to stay underground. These are never-seen-before visuals. Our security forces have unearthed a network of Hamas-style natural tunnels that have been used by Hizbul Mujahideen operatives in Kishtwar. The clandestine hideouts, ingeniously altered from natural caves equipped with a single entry, multiple exit designs, not one but over 30 exits, and stocked with supplies for prolonged stays, reveal a dangerous escalation in the strategies of the terror groups. An anti-terror operation in Kishtwar not only disrupted Hizbul's sinister plans but also exposed their audacious attempts to evade India's relentless counter-terrorism efforts. On 10th of August, around 6 o'clock in the morning is when there was details that basically emerged of the presence of terrorists. On your screens right now, deep within the hillocks of Kishtwar's security forces, acting on precise intelligence about Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists, accessed a natural cave that had been transformed into a terror stronghold. The cave, capable of sheltering over half a dozen operatives, was ingeniously designed with a single entry point and multiple escape routes, concealed by grass and bushes, mirroring tactics that have been employed by Hamas. Exclusive footage that have been obtained by the security personnel reveals the chilling extent of Hizbul's preparations. The tunnels were not mere hideouts, but fortified bases stocked with essentials to support prolonged stays. On 11th of August, the Indian Army, in collaboration with the Jammu and Kashmir police, executed a decisive strike, blasting open the cave's entrance to neutralize the threat. The operation, marked by massive explosions and plumes of smoke, obliterated Hizbul's underground base. What we're going to put out in a short while from now is what the Indian Army essentially found once they entered. We're going to take you through the next set of visuals in a short while from now. But the details that we have as of now, as we stay with these drone footage, exclusive footage of the hideout. Number one, the encounter basically broke out in Dhul Forest area around 6:15 in the morning on 10th of August. As you see this, what is happening right now is that Indian Army essentially actually uses the drone to get a sense of what's really inside. We are given to understand that the drone of the Indian Army, which you can see right now, will actually be going inside. It goes inside this tunnel, on a cliff that could reach up to 15 feet. An estimate that the tunnel could be around 20 feet long. Now, later on, as we're going to put out more visuals, you would see the Special Forces of Indian Army entering the tunnel, and they found almost double the estimate with multiple exit points, close to about 28 to 32 feet. Now, these are hideouts of the Hizbul Mujahideen. Where exactly is this? This is in Kishtwar area. In fact, it turns out that this is in Dul forest area, where these caves have been created and has been largely used by the terrorists. Now, there are two Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists, Riaz Ahmad and Mudassir Hussain, who have been neutralized in the Kishtwar encounter. I'm going to take you through the details of these two terrorists who were neutralized from these caves that were made by them. Now, let me take you through the next set of visuals that we have accessed. These are on your screens right now. A high-stake encounter in Jammu and Kashmir's Kishtwar district has essentially exposed a sophisticated Hizbul Mujahideen terror network operating from a Hamas-style tunnel system. Now, this is in the Dul forest area. I'm now going to take you through the details of what was witnessed by the para forces when they actually entered. These, what you see right now, is the para forces of the Indian Army actually making the entry, and this was after they neutralized the terrorists. What they essentially found was this, that this has a single point entry but multiple exits. Now, pretty much similar to what we have seen that the Hamas has essentially been doing in Gaza. That seems to have been inspiring the Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists as well as Jaish-e-Mohammed, because remember, there are several other similar sort of natural caves that have been used by these terrorists, particularly in the hinterland. I'm now going to take you through the exact details of the operation, which began on 10th of August, continued to about 11th of August, and now finally these details have accessed. Now, a high-stakes encounter in Jammu and Kashmir's Kishtwar district exposed what we are calling a sophisticated Hizbul Mujahideen terror network operating from a Hamas-style tunnel system in the Dul forest area. Now, the operation, which started around 6:15 in the morning on 10th of August, marks the second time in 3 weeks that security forces have cornered the same group of Hizbul Mujahideen commanders. The operation began when Indian Army troops acting on precise intelligence engaged Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists hiding in a natural cave that was turned into a tunnel on a cliff in the Bagna forest of Dul. That's approximately 25 kilometers from Kishtwar town. Now, let me try and break it down as far as the Kishtwar operation for you. An army drone penetrating the cliff-side tunnel initially reached 15 feet. Estimating the hideout's length would be around 20 feet. However, when two para-operatives entered the tunnel, they discovered it was nearly double the initial estimate, stretching to about 28 to 32 feet, with multiple concealed exit points that were designed for quick escapes. Now, this intricate network, mirroring Hamas's tunnel tactics, allowed terrorists to evade aerial surveillance and as well as ground searches. The operation reached a climax when security forces blasted the tunnel's entrance, collapsing the hideout and recovering critical items, which also includes arms and ammunition, personal belongings. They also confirmed the presence of active Hizbul Mujahideen operatives, and details of who those two Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists are, we're going to put that out in a short while from now. This is now the drone footage that we have put out. Let's also now put out the visuals. At least there are 3 more sets of visuals that we're going to put out, is what they have basically recovered from inside. What they have recovered from inside is what we are now going to take you through. Well, in fact, before I take you through the set of visuals that have been accessed, our entire team of reporters getting you minute-by-minute details of 2 sets of operations. First, the Kishtwar operation that was carried out. In a short while from now, I'll also go across to my colleague in Kashmir, getting us the details of the Uri encounter. But first to you, Gursimran, with regards to the Hamas-inspired tunnels that have been recovered by the Indian Army and the strategy, the anti-terror operation that has basically begun. Give us more details of why, for the intelligence community, this is quite a cause of concern.
The security agencies in Jammu and Kashmir, those who have been operating in the forested areas, be it in the Pir Panchal or in the Chenab Valley, they were taken by surprise when they got to know that the terrorists are inside the cave. And when the forces drone, at first it was in the afternoon of 10th of August, roughly 6 to 7 hours after the operation was launched, and contact was established at around 6:15 in that morning. They entered that drone into the tunnel, and then they got to know that this cave is not limited to a couple of feet, but this is a kind of a tunnel, a natural tunnel that is there, that has been done modification with by these terrorists, because there were some rocks that were put up there so that the direct exchange of fire could not enter the cave, and if it goes, it hits these stones that have been put in place as a barricading by the terrorists. The drone could only reach the visuals that we have of drone entering the this tunnel. It could only reach up to 15 feet. Reason being that at that given point there was a blockage there, and the drone could not pass through it, and it came back to the point of origin. Now the security forces were assuming that since this is somewhere close to 15 meters, the tunnel could be of 20 feet only. But when the special forces, after they carried out the blast next day, and the special forces of the 2nd Parachute Regiment, they were pushed inside the tunnel, they entered the tunnel. When they carried out the search, they went on, and they got to know that it is almost double what the agencies and the security forces have initially estimated. It is roughly close to 40 meters, and at somewhere close to 28 meters, there are multiple exits that are taking place. So, taking the advantage of those exits, the security forces believe that the terrorists managed to escape from this tunnel network. So, this was the intent of the tunnel network that the Hizbul has been using, that they were well aware that which tunnel has multiple exits from where they can escape the security forces. Because what they did, that when encounter started, the terrorists engaged the security forces till 5 that very evening, because there was regular fire coming from the tunnel. So security forces assumed that there is no other exit, and that's why they were completely focused on that very opening of the tunnel. But when they entered this very tunnel, they got to know that this tunnel has multiple exit points, and now the terrorists have used these exit points. What has happened after that, that multiple operations have been launched in the multiple areas, because see, this area, the place where this tunnel has been found, this was 1.5 hours by foot from the Dool area. This is in the upper reaches. So to escape the security forces...
I'll come to the description of the area where this encounter actually took place, and two of the terrorists who had escaped, that's the Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists. But before that, before I get into the other breaking news coming in, I'll just get a quick word from our defense correspondent Ishan, who's joining us from the national capital. Ishan, with regards to the number of infiltration attempts that have been made in the last few days, and particularly as far as Kishtwar is concerned, the growing concern is that two of these terrorists did manage to escape. Any more further details that you're picking up?
Shravan, the most important detail over here is that this encounter, when taking place, was done by the elite para commandos of the army. And once the commando the reason that the terrorists were able to escape was of the dense foliage and the nighttime operation that was taking place. This operation took place at a height of about 10,000 feet, and it was very difficult to coordinate in this remote region of Dul in Kishtwar area. Furthermore, these tunnel-based operations, as shown, has multiple exits, and this indicates the local knowledge that was gained by these terrorists before choosing a hideout with such precise location, which had such access to the surrounding regions. Back to you, Sean.
Well, thank you very much, Ishan, for getting us the latest details. Let me also quickly take you through the details of the operation. Two most wanted terrorists, Riaz Ahmed and Mudassir Hussain, each carrying a 10 lakh bounty, were trapped in the ongoing encounter in Kishtwar. The duo is accused of masterminding the killings of a senior BJP leader Anil Parihar and his brother Ajit Parihar, father of the current Kishtwar MLA Shagun Parihar, now outside their home in 2018, as well as the assassination of RSS activist Chandrakant Sharma and his PSO inside the district hospital in 2019. I'm going to go back to those set of visuals because these are never seen before footage. Drone footage of the tunnel, and then of course the recovery that was made by the para-SF. Let me bring in my colleague Goswami, who's getting us more details, specific details with regards to the terrorists who did manage to escape. Gursimran, with regards to the number of such caves which have been inspired by the Hamas and a change in the tactics itself, more details that you're getting in from your sources in the Northern Command as to how exactly is there a direct link with Hamas and the fact that the Hizbul Mujahideen leadership as well as Jaish-e-Mohammed leadership, multiple visits that they have made with and meetings that they've had with the Hamas leadership shows that there has been some sort of a collaboration.
See, Shravan, there is an indirect collaboration that is emerging out. Reason being, see what has happened that the Kishtwar has only two terror outfits active. One is Hizbul Mujahideen and second is the Jaish-e-Mohammed, because there were strong inputs with the security agencies that when the group of Jaish-e-Mohammed infiltrated into Kathua Samba area, then they went to the Kathua and then in the upper reaches of Udhampur, then to the Doda district, and at final stage they reach the Kishtwar district. There have been meeting with these Riaz and Mudassir with the top terror commanders who have infiltrated. The name was Saifullah. He is still active, though multiple names of Saifullah have emerged at multiple locations. So Saifullah has met this very group. That is what the agencies are saying. So whether it was inspired by the Hamas meeting that took place in the headquarters of the Jaish, that is agencies are yet to confirm, because see, this development is as recent as it could be. It's only a matter of couple of days that they have got to know of this tunnel network being used by Hizbul Mujahideen. Earlier agencies were of the view that these terrorists have gone somewhere up, because it was last time in the month of April that Riaz was seen. Since then, Riaz was on the off radar of the security forces and he was traced last month only on 20th of July in the Chirji area of Nagsani when an encounter broke out.
Well, thank you very much, Gursimran and Ishan, for joining us on this broadcast. Now, let me shift focus to the first major provocation coming in from the Pakistani since Operation Sindhu. In fact, this is the second such infiltration bid that has been made by the security forces, launched extensive search operations in the 25-core area of Uri today after foiling a Pakistan-backed infiltration attempt along the line of control. Terror associates believed to be supported from across the border tried to cross into Indian territory but were intercepted by the army. Terrorists essentially exploited darkness and adverse weather, such as poor visibility, to mask their approach and movement towards the Indian forward post. The encounter resulted in the martyrdom of one army Jawan, with combing operations continuing in the area to ensure no further infiltration. In fact, it turns out that there have been no lessons that have been learned by Islamabad's actions suggest it has learned very little from Operation Sindoor, opting instead for a dangerous game of brinkmanship. Let me go across to my colleague and our Kashmir Bureau Chief, Zeenat, who's been tracking this very closely. Zeenat, yet another attempt of infiltration. This is in the Uri area ahead of the onset of winter. It seems this is the last-ditch effort that they are making. Any more details that you're picking up with regards to how the operation was actually carried out?
See, Shravan, we all know and the army forces are well versed with the trail. Before the onset of the winter and the passes get covered with snow, Pakistan always try to push infiltrators, and Pakistan commandos, the army commandos, are helping the terrorists to sneak inside the Indian territory. And this was again seen in Uri, because last time the operation was carried on 23rd of April, this current year, during the Operation Sindoor, during when this Pahalgam incident took place. Then that time the three terrorists were neutralized by the Indian army along the line of control in Uri sector. Today, the action was seen in the Churunda area. This is again the line of control area, the dense forest jungle where this action has taken place. It was somewhere around 2:30 in the morning when Pakistani infiltrators with the help of Pakistani army commandos tried to sneak in, and one of the Jawan lost his life in action while defending his post. In fact, taking an advantage of the weather, these terrorists, the Pakistani terrorists, moved or returned back. But we are seeing multiple cassos being launched in the jungles, and the kind of machinery that has been used by the Indian army to have the aerial surveillance to track that if at all any more infiltrators are still stuck in the area. This is the alertness that we see from the Indian forces whenever the India celebrates days like Independence or the Republic Day.
Well, thank you very much, Zeenat, Gursimran, as well as Ishan, for joining us on This Is Exclusive. That's all that we could pack in this edition of This Is Exclusive. I'll be back tomorrow with more exclusive stories coming up, trending with my colleague Akanksha.
पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी